Dylan.
I am Zuby.
I was going to say this is FBA Profits. Been thinking about Keanu Reeves from Point Break. Do you remember that? Where he does this whole FBI. Anyway, it's that season, right? We're coming up on tax season.
Yes,
And
we're there.
people are scrambling, including myself. It's time to get lots of paperwork together and get things ready. And you had a great topic for today on some tools that we can use and some basics if you're in that FBA world and then doing Amazon as a reseller to help get everything ready and deal with the tax man.
Yeah, the taxes is one of those things where it's really cumbersome as an Amazon seller, especially if you're a new Amazon seller, you're a smaller Amazon seller, you don't have, you don't have 7 figures in sales and you don't have a full-time CPA that's working for you. It can become really cumbersome and pretty intense if you don't know what you're doing or if you fall behind on a lot of things. So today we're just going to take a quick gander at sort of explaining what the different financial statements are for a business, and then really delving deep into one of them and talking specifically about InventoryLab and what you can do with InventoryLab. 3 things you can do using InventoryLab to really make your life simple and easier come tax time. And these are 3 things you can do on a monthly basis to make sure that everything is copacetic on your account.
Now, before you go on, we're talking about InventoryLab. You can go to the website, right? It's the domain is as you're saying it, InventoryLab.com, right? They have subscription services. I think you've talked about them. We've talked about them a number of times. We're big fans of them. I just want to be really clear because you just blew right by, what they are, what it is as a tool, because it does a lot more than just prepare your tax paperwork, right?
InventoryLab is awesome. In my opinion, it is a must-have for anybody selling on Amazon. You can do your research on there. You can figure out your profit margins, your ROI margins. It does your one of the most important parts of your financial statements. You can do it there, which is a profit and loss statement. And it has a plethora of different things that really will make selling on Amazon a lot easier for you. So we are huge fans of them. We're not affiliated with them. We don't get any kind of a referral fee from them. But anybody who is involved in any of our coaching programs gets the InventoryLab. Anybody that has that uses our prep and pack services uses InventoryLab, because that's what we use to create the shipments and to list products on their account. So huge fans of InventoryLab, even though they probably have never heard of us.
Not yet, but they are the Swiss Army knife. If you're doing FBA, they are the Swiss Army knife to pony up, get it, makes your life much easier. So didn't mean to hijack it, but I want to make sure we covered at least what that was. So
you made it sound like I had said an acronym and didn't explain it. So I was like,
no, that's a whole nother interruption.
It's a whole different issue. All right. So let's just get right into it. Just a quick sort of a macro perspective on financial statements for a business. If you run a business, there are 3 main financial statements that you need to have, and you need to have a good grasp on to make sure that you understand the health of your business. Those are income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statement. For our purposes, balance sheet and cash flow statement, although they're very important to get a full picture of the health of your business, as far as Amazon and what we're going to be discussing today, those we're not going to get into. Our main point of focus is going to be the income statement, which is also known as the profit and loss statement. This is where it shows what your sales were, what your expenses were, what your cost of goods sold was, and all the other expenses that you might have had. And then it gives you a top line and a bottom line number as far as what your profit margins are and what your dollar profits are, which as a reseller on Amazon is something that is extremely important to us, probably the primary factor for any financial statement that we have. The balance sheet and cash flow statements are things that you can use QuickBooks for, or A2X, or there's other services out there that you can use, or an Excel spreadsheet to get those, to get a better understanding of that. But for today, we're going to just concentrate on your income statement or the profit and loss statement. And InventoryLab is an awesome tool to use for that, because they actually do that portion of your financial statements for you. With Amazon, it is extremely cumbersome to try to figure out what your profits were, what your buy cost was, because they don't know. Amazon does not have a function where you can go into your Seller Central account and put in what your buy cost was. The only way for you to have a buy cost and to know what your profits are is by using a service like InventoryLab, or some people, when they start out, they use Excel spreadsheets or whatnot. But go ahead.
I was just going to say, and to add to this, I know some people have a tendency to use certain, I'm a big fan of QuickBooks. I know some people like Quicken. Some people are using spreadsheets. I had somebody I worked with years ago who pen and paper. And I have to say, with Inventory Labs, again, not a commercial, not sponsored by, which is very funny, but to be able to track inventory, besides buy costs and what the sell cost is, but to be able to track your inventory and know what your cost of goods sold are, Inventory Lab, it's built in. You're not trying to do anything. I can tell you from personal experience, trying to use QuickBooks to do something in retail is very difficult. So right there, for me, well worth the monthly fee to not have to try to tease out what's in inventory, what was out, what was first in, what was first out. Don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And for QuickBooks, the learning curve is pretty high if you've never used it before.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of data input that you have to do yourself to categorize stuff. So whereas InventoryLab, it just automatically syncs to your Amazon Seller Central account, pulls the data from there. And as you create your listings and your shipments directly through InventoryLab, all your buy cost gets automatically put on there. So it makes it very easy. It makes the whole process very seamless. So we love it. It's a great tool. End of that discussion.
Until I bring up the next point. How dare you shut me down?
Because you and I can keep on. The more we talk, the more amazing things we can think about InventoryLab, and we can keep on, talking there.
The only reason I brought that up is we're talking about the P&L, and part of the P&L is going to be your expenses. You can't really track outside expenses in InventoryLab. So it is a gap. It's not like it's going to do all of your bookkeeping for you. And if you're just wrapping up your bookkeeping and sending it out to an accountant, that's great. And you're making a face. So you're telling me I can put in the gum that I buy as an expense into, well, there you go. I learned something new today,
sir.
Too. Maybe I can get rid of QuickBooks
Yes,
now.
You can.
Okay.
Yes, you can. So any income or expense that you have, you can input it into QuickBooks, into InventoryLab. What InventoryLab does not do is it does not give you the balance sheet, and it doesn't give you a cash flow statement. So
there you go.
That's where you need in the QuickBooks for.
All right. Second point. Now that I've distracted you yet again.
If anybody ever wondered whether or not this is scripted and we actually go over these things, this should put their minds at ease.
Yeah. All right.
This is you and I having a discussion just as we go along.
Boy, we do good at it too.
Yes, we do.
All right.
All right. So there's the three things that we would recommend for all of our listeners and anybody watching the videos to do on a regular basis. And by regular, I mean at least monthly, to make sure that your data is accurate in your profit and loss statement, so that when the year end comes, you can just download that profit and loss statement and hand it to your accountant or CPA, and it will make life so much easier. The first item is, of course, to make sure that your cost of goods sold is accurate and accurately inputted into InventoryLab. There's two different ways you can do that. One is when you create a listing and you use InventoryLab to create the shipment to send in to Amazon any of your inventory, you automatically put in your buy cost on there, and that it will sync directly to your to the sales to that ASIN. And so when it sells, InventoryLab automatically knows what the buy cost was, so that goes into your cost of goods sold. And the amazing thing about InventoryLab is that if you have 5 different shipments with 5 different prices of the buy costs of the exact same product, it knows, hey, this batch is finished. Now the next batch is being sold. The next batch's buy cost is higher or lower, and it will adjust accordingly. So it does all the work for you. It's not like you have to try to figure out what the average buy cost was and then input it yourself. And then the second way to put in your cost of goods sold is if you've been selling on Amazon for a while and you hadn't been using InventoryLab, and you sign up for InventoryLab now, it syncs to your Amazon account, it imports all of your data from your Seller Central account, all your sales data and Amazon fees and other expenses that Amazon charges. It imports all of that, but it doesn't have a cost of goods sold. There's a way to go into your InventoryLab account and input your buy cost on each one, on each inventory. And we can show you real quick because it's a very easy way to do it. So if you're logged into your InventoryLab account, and if you're listening to this, hopefully you can follow along. But if you log into your InventoryLab account, hover over inventory and click on FBA, which takes you to your full FBA inventory. And then you will see your entire inventory there. And I think it's sorted 50 at a time. But you'll see what your active cost per unit is. You just click on that column and sort it by lowest to highest. And what it does is it brings all the $0 cost bases up on top. And then you just click on each one of those MSKUs, each one of those items. It pops open a new window where you can type in your cost per unit and the supplier and the date purchased and how many you purchased. All of that data that you didn't have initially and put it on there, you can go ahead and add it on here. And this is something, if you're brand new to InventoryLab and you have been selling on Amazon previously, we highly recommend you do this because it really helps fine-tune your numbers, and it gives you a much better and clearer understanding of what your profit margins are, what your profit dollars are, what all your expenses were. So that's the first one. Number two is you want to put, to Leland's point, all your other costs regularly in your InventoryLab. And there is a way where you can input them one at a time, or if you have, for example, InventoryLab is a fee-based subscription. So you know you're going to have this, whatever, I think it's $40 a month subscription every single month. You can go into InventoryLab settings and you can set up a expense for InventoryLab, $40 per month on this date each month. And then automatically every month it adds it onto your expense report. And then you can also go in and put in one-off expenses. You know, this month I had purchased $500 worth of pallets or boxes or whatever it might be, or my gas mileage. Whatever other expenses you have for your business, you can go into InventoryLab and input that data. And it's the way to do that is you just click on your name and go into settings and go into accounting and expense categories or income categories, which means you can also put in your income on there as well. It's a very easy to follow procedure. You can just go ahead and add a category for whatever it is that your expense is and just put what the total, and it will put it onto your profit and loss statement page. If anybody has any questions about this and you want us to sort of walk you through it, reach out to us. Either one of us will be more than happy to walk you through. Takes less than 5 minutes to kind of show you how to do it. So, but it's important to put all of your other costs on there. You know, if you're part of our coaching program, we always, we'll walk you through how to input our coaching services. If you have other subscriptions, keep a subscription or a third-party repricer or any other subscriptions that you have, any expenses that are there for your business, you want to input them in here. Because at the end of the day, if you are calculating the health of your business based on an ROI or a profit margin that is skewed towards your sales and it doesn't include all of your expenses, you're not gonna have a very successful business for long term. You want to have a clear understanding of all your expenses, and understand, where, if there's ever any deviation on your expenses on the high end, why did that happen? review those expenses on a regular basis. Make sure you minimize anything that doesn't need to be. If there's one-off expenses, make sure you understand them. But for this podcast's purposes, it's just a matter of making sure that you input all of your costs into your InventoryLab account on a monthly basis. And for the most part, you can set it up so that it automatically does it. So you won't, it's not like it's going to take you hours every month. And then finally, and this is something that a lot of people, I think, either fall short of or don't really understand it, but you want to make sure that you sync or you match your inventory quantity in Amazon versus inventory quantity in InventoryLab versus Amazon on-hand quantity, so that there's no discrepancy. Because what will happen is there are times when you ship in 10 items, 2 of them get damaged, 2 of them get lost, 2 of them don't get scanned, whatever. Amazon only shows 8. Or for whatever reason, there's a discrepancy between what InventoryLab shows you should have in your inventory and what Amazon shows they have for you in your inventory. When that happens, you need to make sure that you go in and fix that. Figure out where the issue is, what the problem is, and then fix it on InventoryLab so that it syncs properly, so that there is no discrepancy on it. And the way to do that, again, is to go to inventory, hover over inventory, click on FBA inventory, and you'll just scroll down. You will see a red triangle alert on any of the inventory items or any of the SKUs that there's a discrepancy on. And all you have to do is click on that red triangle, and it will show you that InventoryLab has this number on there, and it will tell you it does not equal to shipment plus Amazon on hand, and it will tell you what the difference is. So, for example, I'm looking at one right now. It says InventoryLab has 10. There's 0 in shipment, and Amazon on hand shows 8. So there's a difference of 2. I need to figure out where that difference is. Why is there that difference? Is there 2 that's missing? Did I not ship 2 in? And thought that I had? Did Amazon, mess it up and they didn't have they reimbursed me for it? So there's something that's off, and you want to, 1 or 2 is not going to be that significant, but if you don't fix 1 or 2 on 100 different ASINs, it adds up and it skews your numbers. So it's important to make sure that you go in there and double check everything and make sure that that difference is 0 and not a positive or negative number.
So to that point of the auditing between the 2 systems, how frequently would you suggest doing that?
At least monthly. All 3 of these things, at least monthly. If you have time and you want to do it more often, it just makes, it's less time. Like if you do it every week, then it will take you 2 minutes or 5 minutes as opposed to taking you 10 minutes if you do it once a month. So it's just a matter of how much time do you want to put into it. And the more often you do it, the faster you can get it done. And the more on top of your account you'll be. So, but definitely at a minimum once a month, you want to go through and fix that. At a minimum once a month, you want to look at your profit and loss statement. So before you look at your profit and loss statement, you want to make sure that all the data in it is accurate and all the data has been matched correctly. It's
annoying, but Friday, like it's at the end of the week, you're just matching numbers. There's not a lot of thought. If something is more concerning because something fell out of the shipment, or Monday morning's a good time to attack it, but at least you have your game plan. That's your first thing. And then that way you kind of know each week where you wrapped up. But at max, you say minimum, at a maximum, I would say do it monthly, because you start going any more beyond that, it gets really nasty.
Yeah. I think it goes back to a personal preference of how people work, but you don't want to go more than a month in between. Right. So, but you mentioned Fridays. I've now come to a whole different mindset on Fridays. I try to be very schedule oriented Monday through Thursday, and I call my Fridays free flow Fridays now. So, and I really look forward to them because I come in and I don't have a set schedule, like do this between this time and this time and this. I come in and I say, what needs to be done? What am I behind on? What did I miss on? And sometimes, you know what? Everything is copacetic. I'm gonna go golfing. It's free flow Friday. I can do whatever I want. So sometimes, it it's good to give yourself that little bit of a cushion. Sometimes I will come and sit down and spend 8 hours just on numbers.
Well, now it makes sense. When I try to get a
numbers.
hold of you on Friday, now I know why I can't get a hold of you. It makes sense now. I know where to look for you.
That's right. Well, I'm gonna start inviting you from now on.
There you go.
All right. Well, those are the three main things that we recommend. It is tax time, or it's almost tax time.
Mhm.
Just a quick touch on taxes. If you did $20,000 in sales and 200 orders or more, you will get a 1099-K from Amazon, and that will have that your accountant or whoever does your taxes will need that. If you didn't, you need to go in and download your sales reports. There's a bunch of different reports that you can download from Amazon. Make sure you you use the inventory valuation report from InventoryLab as well for the year end. That your accountant will definitely need that to know what the value of your inventory was on December 31st. And lastly, make sure that if you had any expenses that you didn't input into InventoryLab, that you take your receipts and spreadsheet or whatever you have, and you give it to your accountant. Because if you just give them your Amazon account, they're gonna charge you a lot to try to do your taxes for you.
And you
And if you
motivated
have
me.
it,
You motivated me. This year, I'm going to try using InventoryLab and not do, most of the time I move it back over into QuickBooks and standardize it for him to ingest. I'm going to go the other way this year.
yeah, you're a numbers guy though, so we'll see if you can manage. You like the data, your numbers and data. So
I'm getting lazy. So yeah, if there's an easier way, I'm all for it.
I can see you going through withdrawals for not having enough numbers.
No, I'm just going to figure out. I'll spend time how you're cheating on your golf game. I'll work my numbers that way.
Yes.
You
It's
shouldn't
not
have said
cheating.
golfing. I'm going to keep bugging about that.
It's not cheating. It's not cheating if you're hitting it right.
There you go. Anything else to
I
add
think
to
that's
this?
it. We're
So
good. We're about to go crazy.
Thank you so much for watching and listening. At the end of this, you're going to hear Zuby's home phone number and home address. You can send all of your tax paperwork to him. He'll be happy to help you get them filed. And with that, we'll say goodbye.
You've threatened this a couple of times, and my worry is one of these days I'm gonna turn on the podcast and there will be my home number, my cell phone, or yeah.
Just be careful. April 1st is right around the corner. It might just slip into one of them. I don't know.
There's always some truth behind every joke, right?
Thank you.